What is happening, folks? We're back after, I think it's been about 7 weeks since I last worked on this. So we're back on the 335i. Had a hell of a time, in which we'll get into, but we're back. If you watched the last video, I would have posted that last week, but that work was actually done about 7 weeks ago. I've been away working, so let's just get into it. In the last video, if you've been following along, you would have seen me stripping the engine down after blowing the car up. Well, I say blowing the car up, I spun a crank bearing, which then led to the crank on cylinder number 5 being pretty well scored and just knackered beyond words. There's a massive gouge out of it there. These were the shells that came out the conrod, sorry. So considering they're meant to be a good few mil thick, there's nothing left of them, and the conrod is pretty well scored as well. I don't know if I could have got away with reusing this to rebuild, but decided against the rebuild, and I'll tell you why. Right, we've a bit of a story time here as to how we've ended up at this bit. I'll try and do it as fast as possible so you don't get bored of listening to me talk shit. But this isn't the first second-hand engine that I've had. This is number 2 now, which I just picked up yesterday. I was going to rebuild the original engine, like I've said, but by the time I weighed up the price of parts, because you'd be looking at new crank, new conrod, shell, bottom end bearing shells, head gasket kit, new head bolts, like even the bolts that bolt the bottom end to, because they're alloy, they're one-time use, need to re-buy them. Just all the wee bits and pieces for me to make that engine how I would want it. It was just going to be way too expensive. So I bought an engine not long after stripping that down, and I arrived and it turned out to be an absolute dog. I think the guy was just trying to take the piss out of me and pull the wool over my eyes. Won't mention any names, but it just was not nice at all. It had metal shavings in the oil filter. The PCV ports were drilled out and filled with chemical metal. There was just a load of stuff. Silicon holding the inlet manifold on, it looked like. But yeah, it wasn't nice. I'm still going through PayPal to try and get the refund. It's already been sent back. Just trying to get the refund for the money now. But here we are. We've got this one from a well-known guy. And it's a lot better condition, looks nicer. So what we're going to do, if I stop looking about, like I don't know what I'm talking about, I think we'll get the subframe outside, get it degreased, pressure washed, clean it up nice and shiny as it can be, and then we'll get this bolted in, start bolting the ancillaries on, get the gearbox on, and hopefully get it running this weekend. So let's stop talking shite. Cheers for listening. I'm probably wasting my time here, but I'm hoping I can clean all this grime up just to make it look a wee bit nicer for it going back on the car. The stage we're at now is subframe's back in the garage, obviously. It's actually cleaned up so much better than I thought. I'm pretty chuffed with that. Next up, well, off camera, my phone died. So what I've done is I've fitted the turbos. Turbos are back on. All the oil feeds, everything round about have all been tightened on. Intake pipes, or is that the outlet? The actual boost pipes have been put back on. Water pump and thermostat has been refitted down here. So that's pretty much the exhaust side all built up. Plan of action now is I'm going to stick the 2 engine mounts onto the side of the block, lower the engine down, bolt it to the subframe, and then using the engine hoist, I'll just lift everything back up off the floor to get the subframe sitting on 4 axle stands so we can continue refitting all the parts onto it. And hopefully that won't take too long. So we'll get the camera set up, do a wee time lapse, throwing it all back together, and we'll just see if we can get this engine in tonight. That was a wee bit trickier than it probably should have been. I don't know if it was just because I was doing it myself or if I was just being an idiot, probably the latter. But subframe's bolted to the engine. Ignore the rope's just holding the front end of the subframe up so it doesn't fall away. But the next plan of action is get the axle stands at a decent height, because when I stripped this I had them too low. It made get unbolting the torque converter a bit difficult. So that'll be the next plan. Torque converter bolted onto the flywheel, get the gearbox fitted, and then just crack on getting the inlet side built back up, and then it's ready to go on. Oh no, wait, we have got the downpipes and the valve cover to replace as well, so I'll be putting the alloy valve cover back on. Right, the gearbox is all on and tight now. Had a wee bit of an issue with two of the bell housing bolts, but just ran the die down the threads and sorted them out, so that's all tight. We've also stuck on the heat shield with the actuator solenoids, so that's all on. All had a nice good clean as well, just trying to keep everything as clean as possible. Starter motor's been bolted on as well. Usual, the phone died, so didn't have the camera. But we're making good progress now. So next up, we're going to get the high pressure fuel pump fitted, and then start running all the wiring them again, and hopefully I can remember how it all goes, or else I'll need to look back at footage from the last video. But aye, that's in high pressure fuel pump now, then the engine loom, and then just start getting all the other ancillaries done. We're almost there. We're almost ready to go back in now. A good wee bit of progress here now. So the plastic rocker cover has been changed, or valve cover, whatever you want to call it, for the alloy one that came off the old engine. Old spark plugs are out, new ones are in with the coil packs fitted, injectors are in and tight, so is the high pressure rail, tightened down onto the high pressure fuel pump. I'm like a bloody broken record here, but now that all that side's done, we're going to continue on this side now. So I think we'll get the wiring all on, get that all routed and plugged in, and then we can get the alternator and power steering pump and all that fitted here. That's us pretty much fully built up now. Inlet manifold, alternator, aircon pump, power steering pumps all on. The gearbox cooling pipes and the cooler have been fitted to the front here. So aye, we're not far away from getting put back in. On the exhaust side, we're pretty much fully built up as well. I forgot a couple of bits. Well, I totally forgot that I didn't fit the downpipes, but there's a reason why, which I'll show you shortly. But the intake pipes are on, turbos are all on, cooling, the engine cooling system's all on, water pump, thermostat, etc. Other intake pipe, the serpentine belt with the tensioner. So everything is pretty much built up on the engine now. I just need to go underneath and bolt the torque converter onto the flywheel, which I'll do shortly, but it's getting pretty late outside and my neighbours are probably going to hate me for this part, but I want to get this bolted into the car tonight. So we're going to make a wee bit of noise, and here's the reason why. The captive bolts on the downpipes, as you can see, there's not really much left of them. That one's absolutely knackered. It was just rust holding the exhaust onto the downpipes. Same for this one as well. It's just not much left of them. So we'll get the grinder out, cut them off, cut all four off, and then we'll drill them, and then we'll just nut and bolt it to make our life easier in the rebuild. To replace the studs, I literally just cut them off with a grinder and then worked my way up from 4mm to 8mm with the drill. And then once they were out, that was us good to go. And thankfully, there was no noise complaints from the neighbours. Job is a good one, slightly off centre, but if the flange on the exhaust doesn't line up, I'll just get the Dremel and dress it out. But I did tap one of them. Just it was an idea, just tapping the whole lot. But I've decided I just drilled both out to 8mm, and then I'll just nut and bolt through both flanges. So aye, it's time to get them onto there. Down pipes with the cats are all back on. We are finally fully built back up to go back in that big hole first thing in the morning. Although I've not fitted the torque converter to the flywheel yet, I'll do that first thing in the morning because I think it's 20 to midnight or something like that, and I'm fucking shattered. So calling it a night for tonight, and then I'll be back out here first thing in the morning to hopefully get these bolts into the flywheel and then get the engine back into the car. It's been a long time coming, so I just hope that it goes well. Right, it's the next day, and you're probably wondering, why is that gearbox back off? I went to turn the engine over to line up the holes in the torque converter to the flywheel here, and the engine would not turn over at all, so I went into panic stations and just stripped the box off because I thought maybe something was catching, stopping it. But it turns out when I was trying to turn it over, the power steering pump pulley was sitting on the subframe, so that's why it felt like it was seized. So my heart was in my mouth a wee bit there, but plan is torque converter back on. I'm going to drain that out actually because I've got a gearbox service kit coming for it. So I'll drain the torque converter out, stick that back in the gearbox, and then bolt it all back together. And then hopefully by the time I've done that, the service kit will be here for the box. Finally, after a good bit of fucking about there, the box is back on. I got it stuck again. It was just going in at a funny angle. So the box is back in, the engine's cranking over, no bother by hand. So we are good to finally go back in, but not until we get the gearbox service. So Febby sump with a built-in oil filter, 7 litres of ATF, and we'll just set the camera up. I've never serviced one of these before, but I'm just going to treat it like any other gearbox service, and I'm going to start off by taking the fill plug out, which is here, and then if anything drains out of there, I'll let that stop dripping. Then I'll move down to the bottom to the actual sump plug here. I'll remove that, and then once there's no more oil in it, I'll just go around and remove all of these bolts and drop the full sump down, and then we'll get it all replaced. The old sump's off, and it doesn't actually look too bad. The oil that came out, it wasn't too bad, if I'm honest. Next up, I'm just going to get the wire wheel and give the mating surface a good clean up, just so that it prevents any oil leaks when the new sump goes on with the seal. And then looking at the old sump itself, the magnets aren't actually too bad. There is a wee bit of swarf on there, but the gearbox has done about 160,000. It's getting replaced. The engine, the replacement engine's done 100,000. But the box has came out 160k mile car, so I would say that the magnets don't actually look too bad. I think the car has been looked after in its time, but it's just unfortunate that the engine's blown with myself. I'm finally ready to get the engine and gearbox bolted back into the car now. Now that the gearbox service is done, I've also done an oil filter and oil change in the engine. Well, the engine was dry oil, but I've put a new filter, new oil in there. So gearbox, engine is all freshened up. I just need to bolt a wee wiring bracket back onto the bottom of the gearbox because I've just finished bolting up the torque converter to the flywheel. So I'll just dive underneath and I'll show you exactly how I've done that. So underneath we have 2 inspection holes. We have inspection hole number 1 for the gearbox, And then inspection hole number 2 for the actual, that's on the sump. So you can get in there. I don't know if this is going to pick up in the camera, but you can see the bolt in there. And then coming under here, you can see where the bolt goes into the captive on the torque converter. So that's all tightened back up. I just need to stick the caps back on there, bolt this bracket up there, and then we're ready to lift in. Come on! That is how we do it. One man band. Nothing caught. This has been a long time coming. A very long time coming. It's been a hellish 7 weeks, but we're in. Now it's time to go to bed and finish it off tomorrow. See you tomorrow morning. Okay, next day. We are pretty much built up under the bonnet. I didn't bother filming any of this because it's just it going back together, and I feel like this video is going to be hellishly long anyway. So we've got the oil cooler on. What else do we have? We've got the charge pipe on, the air filters. I've connected up the gearbox linkage underneath. I've done all that. We've got the expansion tank back on. We've got the vacuum canisters back on. All the wiring is back in and done. We just need to now fit the intercooler, the radiator, the air conditioning condenser, whatever you want to call it. So we'll get the front end built back up, and then we'll get some antifreeze in it and get it started. I've no idea what happened to the time lapse there. It just seemed to cut out whilst I was putting it all back together, but everything on the front end is now back together. I even forgot to say there's a couple of new brake pipes in there, but all the plugs, ABS is all plugged back in. And yeah, it's pretty much good to top up the antifreeze. But before we do that, we have got the back of the car up in the air now. I don't know if those wheels are strong enough to hold it, but we'll see. We're going to go underneath and we're going to fit the prop shaft, get that all on, then get the exhaust heat shields, and then fit the exhaust before starting up, because it's a wee bit later on at night and I don't think my neighbours would appreciate me starting up the car with no exhaust. So I've just remembered actually, we still need to top up the antifreeze and whatnot. So I have filled up the coolant bottle with 4 litres of G48, the blue or green, whatever you want to call it, antifreeze, and then I've topped it up with water. And then now we're going to go into the car and we're going to start the automatic bleeding procedure for the electric pump. So if I can remember correctly from the last time I've done this, it's ignition on, press it twice so that all the lights come up, and then down here, heating up full, I think it is, and then the fans right down to there, and then we just plant both feet on the pedals. I was actually talking nonsense about the brake pedal. It's just the accelerator pedal that you need to press, and you can see there that we've got a nice flow of antifreeze there, or coolant, whatever you want to call it, and you can hear the pump running. I'm not sure if the mic's picking that up, but this procedure takes about 12 minutes. So I've got the battery pack hooked up onto the battery in the boot, and whilst that's doing that, I am going to now finally go underneath, fit the prop shaft, fit the heat shields, and fit the exhaust. When I'm fitting the prop shaft, I'm lining up the mark that I put on before I removed it, so that I know that it's gone on the same way it came off. And then after that, I'm just putting a bit of Q rust over a wee bit of surface rust just to tidy it up. That took a hell of a lot longer than I expected it to, because it is pitch black outside now, but we are finally fully built back up, apart from the front end. We've still got the front end to put on, like the bumper and the whatever that bit behind the bumper is called. But this is the next step now. So before I go and start it up, what I've done is I've disconnected the coils, all 6 of them, just because I want to turn the engine over first, just to get some oil pressure and some fuel pressure up, and I don't want the engine to start. So I'll go in and do that now, get them connected back up, and then get the engine fired up, hopefully. Right, come on, the N54, man, come on! That'll be the starter motor stuck in the flywheel. Excellent. I've just pulled the inlet manifold off pretty quickly, just to get a look at the starter motor, and what I've done is I've actually removed the starter, and then I've put 2 washers, if you can see that gap there. I've just put 2 washers to space it out a wee bit to see if that will stop it, stop the teeth grinding on the flywheel. So fingers crossed, let's get it built back up and fired up. Right, we're all built up. It's 11:30 at night and I'm hoping it's not too noisy when it starts up. So let's give this another try. That sounds fucking mint, man. Oh my god. Let's just close this door. Sorry for the facial expressions there, but oh my god. It sounds fucking mint. Finally, all built up. That is the engine exchange, completely finished now. It's up and running, front end's back on. I'm just quickly, before I stick the front wheels back on, I'm stripping the front brakes because, as you can see, the bearing flange is absolutely disgustingly rusty. The pads were seized in the carrier, in the pad carrier, and the inside face of the disc is not the nicest either. So I'll get the wire wheel on the grinder, clean that up, clean the bearing face and all this up, and put some fresh grease on it. The car actually has decent brakes on it. EBC green stuff pads. We'll be needing replacement pads soon. Look at that. Well, I think we need replacement pads right now. But I'll just stick these back in. I'll give them a wee sand down, clean the shite off them, sand them down, fit them for now. And then let's get EBC. I'm not sure if these are the turbo discs or not. I could be wrong. I know that turbo is one of them. I don't know if it's these ones. But it does have decent brakes. They just need to get used. Honestly, I cannot put into words how excited I am that we're at this stage now. Everything is done, front end all back together, brakes have all been serviced and cleaned up. We will replace them at some point, but honestly, I never actually thought this day would come. I thought after I got that first engine delivered, I thought that was it, game over, the car's scrap, I'm not going to get it finished. And then my knight in shining armour, the boy who supplied me with that second engine, thanks very much, mate. I didn't think I would get to this point, but here we are. So let's go and get it out on the road pretty much, and it's pissing down with rain, mind you. So we'll just take it nice and easy, let it all settle in, because I don't want to have to take this engine out again anytime soon. Okay folks, we are out on the road eventually, finally. It's actually like 2 days after I got it running. It's just I didn't have time to actually come and film this wee bit for the video, but we've ran it about town, put it back in the garage, we've topped up the gearbox oil, checked everything over, had a couple of wee leaks but we sorted them. So we are now, touch wood, touch hairy wood, we are now back on the road for now, until we've still got a few other bits to do to it, but I'll pull over and I'll do a wee walk round and I'll explain to you what's next on the card. Like I said earlier on in the video, I didn't actually think that this day would come. I thought that this car, after we get the first engine sent to us, was just going to get scrapped, but she's looking unbelievable for an old, is it 2008? 2008 BM, she looks pretty tidy there. So like I said, next on the cards, we're going to get it back into the garage. We've got all this tidied up, cleaned up, treated, and then we'll get all the arches painted. Some are worse than others, but each arch does have a bit of rust on it. So we'll get them all in, get them ground down, treated, painted, and then that'll tidy up the overall outside of the car. And then once we've done that, we're going to get underneath the car, pull the full subframe off the back end. I'm either going to needle gun the subframe that's on it, try and tidy it up, then high build primer it, paint it gloss black, or I'm just going to buy it. If the one that's on the car is no use, I'm just going to go and buy a brand new one online because they're not that expensive. Replace all the suspension arms, springs, a lot, just make it look nice and clean underneath, and then I would say that'll be the car finished and ready to go up for sale. So this will be the end of this video. It's probably one of the longest videos I've filmed, I think, when it comes to editing it. I'll find out. But yeah, if you liked it, leave a wee thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed it. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.